Hello there. My name is Onnoi, and I'm a freelance product designer and a Webflow developer. And in this video, I'll be walking you through a client portal that I've built out on Webflow, obviously, but with the help of Wized. Now, this client portal right here is also equipped with a few other client features as well, which I'll be walking you through after I've shown you the dashboard. So basically you have the ability to collect all the information about the project from your client using the multi-step form. Again, natively built out on Webflow, but we attach it with Wized because we want to send that form information to our database. Once you've gathered all the information about the project, you can then move on to creating the proposal and sending that over to your client. The client also has the ability to ask for adjustments if there is any, and once everything's looking good, they can accept the proposal, which is also later updated onto your database with the help of Wized again. And then once a proposal is out of the way, then you can create and send a contract over to your client. Again, natively built out on Webflow. They can apply the signature as well. Again, the logic side of it is being handled by Wized, however. And then once the contract has been signed off, then it's a matter of you adding your client over onto the dashboard for them to be able to view everything that they need to see for their project. So yeah, super excited to share what I've built out so far. And before I begin, I also wanted to let you know that I'm currently wrapping up on the tutorials because I would like to share how I've built this out, also share my experience on what it's like using Wized. And so I'm also going to be sharing the clonable for the Webflow project, the Airtable database, and the Wized project as well. So if this is something that you think might be useful and you would want to integrate this into your website, feel free to do that. And of course, modify it as you see fit. Okay, that was quite a long intro, so let's get started. Okay, so I'm going to sign into the dashboard. Like I mentioned, authentication is being handled by Firebase. And we're finally in the dashboard. Okay, now before I dive into the dashboard completely, I'm going to switch over to a different project because the dummy content here makes a lot more sense. I just wait for this to load up. Awesome. Okay, now for V1, the client portal I've kept it relatively simple because, again, I'm learning a lot of new things with Wized, so I just didn't want to overly complicate a lot of things. So first things first, we have the project name, of course, and you'll notice that we also have the switch project button, which is a conditional. Now, there are use cases where my client is a part of a few other active projects. So for this dashboard, I wanted to give them the ability to change their workspace if they want to. And then moving on, we have the start date for the project. And then we have the collaborators. So yeah, also, as you can see, as I hover over each of these collaborators, you see that the tooltip comes up. This is not built with Webflow. It was actually taking a long time to build this out. It was actually quite painful as well. So I decided to just go with a JavaScript library called Tippy. And yeah, so this is a JavaScript library tooltip. I will be including this in the tutorial. But yeah, it's pretty neat. And then we have the invite a collaborator functionality. So you can add automation to this if you want to, but I personally haven't. So the client can add any team members if they want to. Once they submit this information, I get notified via Airtable automation that the client has asked to add in a team member onto the dashboard. So this is manually done, by the way. So yeah, I would add the team member email into the database, and they would be seeing exactly what the client sees here on the dashboard. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I said, didn't want to overly complicate this. Okay, now scrolling down, we have the documents. Now this documents over here are mainly for the project brief, the proposal, and the contract. So this is static, nothing dynamics going on over here. The project brief is the one where I've mentioned earlier on the video that this is the information that the client provided to me regarding their project. So I generate a PDF and then I upload that on Airtable, which is then the link for that is of course integrated in here in this dashboard. This is accessible to the client. If they wanted to, they can download this. Same goes for the proposal and the contract. So clicking here would immediately open up the PDF for the contract, the proposal, and the project brief. Okay, and then we have the invoices here. Again, pretty self-explanatory. If you click on your view more invoices here, you have the ability, well, the client has the ability to download any invoices that they want to straight from here. Again, I've attached just random PDFs here, but the idea is that as soon as you click it, it would initiate a download or show them the PDF. Okay, now moving on to the files. Another thing I wanted to point out is that, of course, the files itself is completely redundant because when you have communication channels like Slack, of course, the client can access all their files relevant to the project straight from Slack. But the reason I just thought of building this out was I wanted to challenge myself and see if this was something that was feasible. Turns out it is, but it was a little bit more difficult than I anticipated because, of course, initially you get access on the files panel, you get access to the first recent files that has been recently uploaded, clicking on view all files. This is where things kind of get complicated. Well, it was complicated before. Initially what happened was Wized currently has this functionality where it pulls in all the files from a single request, and it doesn't actually have the ability to render the request in chunks. So what I had to do was implement a infinite scroll. But again, this wasn't this was advice to me by Elvis from the customer support, Wiz customer support. So yeah, huge shout out to Elvis. If it wasn't for him, I would not have been able to implement this. So yeah, thanks to infinite scroll, if you scroll down all the way to the bottom, you'll notice that the next batch loads up. And if you scroll down again, okay, it's not going to load up anymore because we've reached the end. But yeah, it does have the functionality of infinite scrolling, which is pretty neat. But yeah, and also, of course, you also have your ability to upload a new file if you want to. I just need to make a few adjustments here. So I'm using Wiz native file upload feature because I still haven't been able to manage how to attach the upload file functionality to my Airtable. So what happens, so the way this has been set up is you upload the file using Wiz upload feature, and then it's stored in Wiz server, and then from Wiz server it's transferred over to Airtable. Also, there's a bug as well with this where if you upload a file, it's executed multiple times. So a single file uploaded can be duplicated, like, I don't know, 10, 15 times or even more in some cases. So yeah, at the time of making this video, I think Wiz team is looking into this, and they have scheduled a huge update that should be fixing this. Okay, now moving on to the next part of the dashboard, which is our project management tool, the agenda board here. So yeah, this is our classic Kanban task board here. We have your to-do, waiting for info, doing, QA, and done. Now, functionality-wise, it's super basic. It was a little difficult to at first to implement the basic stuff, but yeah, got there in the end. So all right, let's see what we can do here. You can click on each of these tickets and it opens up a modal where you can start editing if there's anything to edit on the ticket, and you can also add comments into this as well. So once you start editing anything, it immediately runs a request of updating the ticket and update that across to Airtable as well. So let's try that out real quick. Let's say we got design homepage and 404 page. And as soon as I click out of this input, it should run the task. Awesome. So it has refreshed this. I'm going through a current bug where the assignee gets deselected, but it actually isn't. It's just a code problem, but in reality, the assignee is still there. So if you click into this again, you'll notice that the assignee is still there. And let's say that you want to add a comment. This is a dummy comment. There you go. It would be nice to kind of get rid of the comment here. Again, this can be done with custom code, but yeah, there are a lot of adjustments that can be applied to the Kanban task board. And then another neat feature is that these tickets can be dragged and dropped across the board as well. Yeah, so this is immediately updated. So if I refresh the page and scroll down, you'll notice that the design homepage in 404 has been moved to waiting for info, and it just stays there. So yeah, if you want, you can also add a new ticket. We have date pickers here as well. This is from a custom JavaScript library. I don't remember which one this is, but I think it's either day picker or flat picker. But yeah, I will confirm that in the description. But yeah, that's that for the client portal. I believe. I don't think I've missed anything else out. Scrolling down, we have the footer. So that brings us to the end of the client portal. So let's quickly explore the edit account as well. Now with the edit account, you can of course change the profile image if you want to, change your first name, last name, and then you have change password. Now change your password has a different modal and a different form because again, this request needs to be handled via Firebase, which is why this is not paired up with this form right here. But yeah, pretty straightforward operation from this point on. So, and that brings us to the end of the client portal. So I'm going to log out and brings us back to sign in page. Now with that being said, I'm going to show you the questionnaire, the multi-step form that we have for collecting project details. Okay, so this is our project brief page. So this is a multi-step form that is paired up with Splite.js. And if I just click into this, yeah, it also has custom JavaScript where it validates if all the fields have been filled out properly, and the email field is also a proper email. So if you click out of it, it will kind of detect that this is not an actual email. Then once you click out of it again, it's all good. And once all the fields have been filled out, your continue button is good to go. So yeah, you'll notice that the continue button is always disabled. So there are a fair amount of custom code involved in this as well. But yeah, you get the idea of this multi-step form. I generally have two kinds of multi-step forms. One is the Webflow and the other one is for UI and UX designing. So, but the form is exactly the same. The functionality is exactly the same as well. And then once you submit it, of course, it should take you over to the submission successful page, and the information goes straight into Airtable. And that's that for the project, the multi-step form to collect your project details. Then we move on to the proposal. So let me see if, okay, so this is not the one. All right. So this right here is our proposal. And now, right now, the proposal is completely, this is a static page. And of course, everything that you see here is just natively built out on Webflow, and all the information that you see here are dummy information. But again, these are the stuff that you'd fill in Webflow by yourself. Yeah, just pretty standard stuff on your Webflow side of things. But where Wiz comes in is over here, the accept proposal. So let's say that the client is happy with what they're looking at and they're completely fine. Once they click on accept proposal, the page would reload and the information is then submitted into Airtable. So every time at this point, every time the page is reloaded, it checks if the proposal has been accepted. If it has, then it hides this entire bar here, and then it hides all the buttons as well. So it shouldn't say accepted here because because I was previously testing this out. But yeah, generally it should not say accepted. It would just show dots, or it's just a blank space. Also, if the client is going to ask for adjustments, they can click here and they can submit this form. This is not linked to Wiz. This is just, I'm just using native Webflow form here. Yeah, but let's go ahead and click on accept proposal. Yeah, so the proposal has been accepted. The page has refreshed, and now you'll notice that the bar is not here. It's completely gone. If I scroll back up, you'll notice that the proposal has been marked accepted by Mark Swanson. Well, shoot, I got the name wrong. Forgot to copy this. All right, so let's refresh this page again. Yeah, so every time you refresh this page, you'll notice that you can no longer interact with the proposal. It's because it's already been marked accepted. Then once the proposal is out of the way, let's move on to the contract. Oh, yeah, so this is the contract part of it. All right, so you have all your terms and conditions for your contract, and scrolling down here, you have your click here to sign button. So let's say Ron Swanson took a look and is super happy with the contract. And once they hit submit, okay, that took a while. All right, so yeah, all signatories confirmed. The contract is now binding. A PDF copy will be emailed to you soon. So you will notice the success banner here twice, and you'll notice that Ron Swanson's signature is also here, followed by his email, the sign-on date as well. So yeah, it's pretty neat. Again, all these data are being handled over on Airtable. And that is pretty much it for the client portal. Okay, so final thoughts on Wiz. So Wiz is an incredible tool. It has a very low learning curve to it, which is amazing. It took me, I think, probably a weekend, probably the whole weekend to kind of get a grip on how to get around Wiz. And you know, assuming that your project is well structured and you know what you're after, building it with Wiz is no trouble at all. However, I should point out that depending on the project type and the nature of the project, you may or may not start hitting a lot of limitations, because out of the box, you know, Wiz doesn't offer a few things. Again, it depends on what exactly it is that your project may require, and it involves, you know, getting dirty with custom code. Now, for someone like myself who is a no-coder and with a basic understanding of JavaScript, I was able to accomplish all the features for this web app with the help of ChatGPT. So basically, ChatGPT completely provided me the entire code for this application. And let me tell you, this is by no means is not a no-code project. It's a low-code project, and it has a lot of code. Again, it's not uncomfortable for me. I'm okay and comfortable with custom coding, because I understand the JavaScript and what needs to be done. I was able to instruct ChatGPT on it. So yeah, I will be covering briefly on how to instruct ChatGPT to give you the code that you're after on the tutorial. So yeah, please to subscribe to the channel to get notified when those videos go live. And yeah, hopefully I hope that this video was helpful. And yeah, thank you for watching, and have a great day.